Newtracs is an off-road mapping platform helping make exploring the Australian bush by four-wheel drive a lot more safer and a lot more fun. Huge industry, and for more we're joined here at the desk by CEO James Nuccio. How are you doing?
How are you, Aaron?
I'm very well, thank you, and love a bit of four-wheel driving as well. Talk to us about where this idea came from.
So essentially originated, I'm a four-wheel driver myself. I've been doing it for about 6 or 7 years right now. And effectively soon after I started, I realised that there was a gap in the amount of knowledge that was available for four-wheel drivers.
So you're talking about mapping things like Apple Maps and Google Maps, etc.?
Essentially what we're creating is kind of like Google Traffic, but for off-roading.
Oh, wow, okay. Not much traffic off-road though, I would imagine.
Not much traffic, but essentially what we do is we track our users and analyse the route data that we collect to infer what's going on the roads themselves.
Yep.
And in that way, our users can understand where they can go with the vehicle that they have.
And things change very quickly when it comes to four-wheel driving tracks, a lot because of the weather, a lot because some just make them up as they go, of course. We've had hilarious situations with Apple Maps in recent years where people in the country find themselves about to drive off a cliff because the map tells them to. What does your service add that you don't get from the others?
So essentially the key difference is that we take into account the specific vehicle that the user is driving. So within the app, the user can create a vehicle profile, and based on the different modifications that the vehicle has. Whatever.
Oh wow, so that intricate, you go into that much detail?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
We need that to be able to understand.
That must be thousands of combinations though.
Well, there's a key selection of modifications that we've decided make the biggest impact in terms of the vehicle capability off-road.
Which are?
So things like diff locks, type of transmission, whether or not you've got low range, tyres specifically, suspension lift. So there are a few different combinations, but they're not that many.
So if I get into my Mazda CX-10, I think it is, which isn't a four-wheel drive, what's your advice for me if I'm trying to go off-road?
So if I was you, I would download the app, I would create a vehicle profile and fill out the vehicle profile as best as you can. The app will spit out a vehicle class rating. I'm going to guess that it's probably going to be a green or a blue.
It's going to be a please don't.
Yes. And then using that vehicle profile, you'll be able to have a look at the map and understand, based on the colour coding of the tracks, which are the tracks that are best suited for that particular vehicle. Now, obviously, there's a few other things that go into it, like driver experience, weather at the time, but that gives you a good indication of where you should go and where you shouldn't go.
And this is world first, isn't it, in terms of crowdsourcing as well? Just tell us about that.
So, yeah, this is a world first technology that we've developed in terms of the way that we're doing it and in the fact that we're analysing route data collected by our user base. It's been very successful since launch. We launched in October. At the moment, we've got over 7,000 downloads. We're growing at 20%.
Is it a free service? How do you organise for it to, I guess, the pay side?
So it's a freemium service. So there's a free component, there's a free package, and then there's a premium package. And essentially, the premium package gives you more detailed information on the tracks.
And how much thought has actually gone into kind of that idea, the idea of will people pay for an app? What do they want out of it? Where do we draw the line at what's free and what you have to pay for?
That's a good question. I think that's an iterative process. You kind of start with a starting point. You gain feedback, you test the market, and then you can iterate that. So far, our conversion rates have been very good, definitely above market standard rates.
Yep.
So it seems like our price point is pretty good as the starting point, but we'll be iterating that and developing that ongoing.
Well, I mean, my idea would be, of course, that you lead them down a track that they can't get out of unless they pay. Great business idea.
That's a good idea.
Not a great ethical idea. So how many users did you say you have at the moment?
At the moment, we've got about 7,200.
That's incredible. Well done. In such a short space of time.
That's right. Yeah, we've been doing really, really well.
What do you think the key is to the success? Because how do you market the app? How do you get the word, aside from appearing on ticker, how do you get the word out there to these people that this exists?
Well, so far our marketing, our focus has been on developing the product and improving the functionality. We haven't put that much effort into marketing by way of budget.
So it's been word of mouth?
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow.
So that's the best way that we've been able to spread, and I like that method because it's obviously coming from the users themselves. They get the unbiased opinions from people, which I like. And we can obviously get feedback from social forums.
You see, one of the great things about the four-wheel drive crowd is they inherently have money already because four-wheel drives aren't cheap if you're going to get a good one, and then they have to spend a lot on safety. So things like EPIRBs, etc., they're kind of looking into, and they're always looking for something new. I've got a mate who every weekend up on Facebook goes something new that he's bought for his four-wheel drive, and I think, they live for it. You guys live for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. The amount of money that is dropped on these four-wheel drives from personal experience is staggering.
How much have you spent, just out of interest?
I mean, I've spent probably at least 30 grand on my car,
Right.
and that's more than I spent on
top of the
absolutely.
car? Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, people spend that's
Gold
a small amount
rims,
of money.
or what do you spend the money
Not
on?
even. You don't even. That's the next level upgrade. Actually, yeah, I'm saving up for those.
So I guess one of my concerns is the idea of mobile internet when you're out in some of these places. That must be a frustration for you, which will no doubt be getting better as 5G eventually comes into play. But there'd be a lot of people who find themselves on a four-wheel drive track and can't get any data. Have you had to think about how you handle those sorts of issues?
Absolutely, that's been a core part of the platform from day one. So because of that, the entire platform works offline. You can download maps to your phone.
Ah, wonderful.
So
you can kind of plan ahead and say, I'm going to be out there. Didn't have much data last time I was there, so being able to download to your phone, perfect idea.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've planned so that the app works completely offline, so users don't need to think ahead to say maybe I'll have data or maybe I won't. They just don't need it.
What's the feedback been?
Excellent. Really, really good feedback. 4.4 star rating on the App Store. We got to number 3 on the App Store rankings in the navigation category, below Google Maps and Waze, which is owned by Google as well, which is a phenomenal achievement. So far, the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive.
So these partnerships that you've set up, and I understand with ARB as well, a big name in four-wheel driving, how did you go about that? Did you have those partnerships beforehand, the connections there, or did you start this business and then you had the technical side of creating the app, designing the app, figuring out the product, while also building your relationships and connections?
So that relationship came about after the app was not launched, but it was out in the open and was known. ARB actually approached me wanting to seek a partnership.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so they see big things in the Newtracs platform for the future of forward driving, and it's going to be a game changer.
I smell a potential investor.
Potentially, I don't know. We haven't talked about that yet.
And are you looking for investors? How have you funded this so far, and where are you at in that regard?
So I'm getting to the point where I need external investment. Up until now, it's just been bootstrapped by myself, so I've been funding everything myself. But now we're getting to the point where we need to start to scale up, and my resources are becoming limited.
Excellent. Well, don't give away too much equity. That's my number one rule.
That's what I've learned.
All right, thanks so much. Congratulations.
No worries.